All right, let's dive in. We're tackling a sermon today by Piorkowski,
Oh, interesting.
and we've got excerpts from the transcript,
Okay.
but also a YouTube video of him giving it at Lynchburg Valley Church.
Wow, so we can see him in action.
Yeah, so it's not just the words, but how he brings them to life.
It's like getting a glimpse into, his personal journey.
Exactly.
Alongside the message itself.
So our mission, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
is one, to uncover the core message of this sermon.
Right.
Two, understand what in Chris's life led him to this point.
Yeah.
But three, and this is the big one,
Okay.
how does this resonate with you, the listener?
It's about making it applicable, right?
Exactly. What can you take away from it?
To your everyday experiences.
So Piorkowski, his background is kind of intriguing.
Yeah, I was reading about that.
He was raised Catholic,
Mm-hmm.
serving as an altar boy at just 7 years old.
7, wow, that's young.
It's like, imagine that,
Yeah.
a 7-year-old already so involved in the church.
Those early experiences, right? They shape our understanding of the world.
You think so?
Yeah, they often lay the groundwork.
Like how we react to things later in life.
Absolutely, our worldview is influenced by them.
He talks about having this deep connection with God.
From that age.
Yeah, from that young age. But it doesn't stop there.
Oh, there's more?
He talks about touring Europe as a teenager,
Really?
pursuing a music career.
So he's musical?
Yeah, and even facing some setbacks along the way.
I mean, who doesn't face setbacks?
True, but ultimately he finds his calling composing film scores.
Wow, so many different paths.
Talk about a diverse path.
It's like he's gone through a school of
A
life,
school of life.
gathering wisdom from those different experiences.
Yes, yeah.
He mentions learning from older individuals,
Oh, interesting.
really valuing their perspectives and relationships.
That's something we all need.
Right, it's like tapping into that collective wisdom.
Learning from their mistakes, their successes.
Absolutely.
We all have those people, right?
Yeah,
Mentors, family, friends.
whose experiences shape our own.
Yeah, absolutely.
So important to seek out those different perspectives.
Broaden our own
Like
understanding.
guide us.
Yeah, on our own journeys.
Exactly.
But then there's this shift.
Oh.
Chris reveals that he encountered death at a young age.
Oh, wow.
Like experiencing the loss of friends during childhood.
Yeah.
And it makes you think,
How that impacts someone
yeah, how such events can impact someone, especially their faith.
profoundly, I bet.
He talks about searching for something deeper.
Deeper than what?
Deeper than a more direct understanding of God's word.
Like the rituals weren't enough?
It seems like it, yeah.
He wanted something more?
He wanted a more personal connection.
I can understand that.
And then, as if life hadn't thrown enough curveballs,
Right.
he talks about this major turning point.
Oh.
His hand injury.
Oh, I read about that.
Yeah, the one that ended his clarinet career.
Such a shame he was in a Philharmonic orchestra, right?
He had dedicated so much time, energy to it.
And then it's over.
Just like that.
Makes you think, sometimes life doesn't go according to plan.
It really does.
It's a stark reminder.
You can have all these goals, ambitions.
Then boom.
Something unexpected happens.
Which makes his sermon title even more poignant.
Right. How do you react when something doesn't go the way you've planned?
It's a question we all grapple with.
Absolutely.
And he's experienced it firsthand.
Yes.
And he uses his platform to offer an answer.
Okay, I'm curious.
Developing a Christ mindset.
A Christ mindset.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. What does that even mean?
Well, he dives into the book of James
Okay.
to illustrate this mindset, specifically James 1.1,
James 1.1.
emphasizing humility and recognizing God's control.
Interesting that he chose that book.
Why is that?
Well, considering its significance,
Oh, right.
it's considered one of the earliest New Testament books written.
It is, and it's remarkable for its focus on practical Christian living.
So it's not just abstract concepts.
No, it's a guide for how to live out your faith.
Day by day.
Exactly.
So less about grand theological ideas.
More about tangible actions.
Like how you actually live your life.
Reflecting your beliefs.
Walk the walk, not just talk the talk.
Precisely.
I like
Chris actually referred to it as a dress code
a dress code.
for Christian behavior.
Okay, that's a new way to put it.
He emphasizes that true faith.
Yeah,
It's not just about words.
it's about actions.
It's about embodying the principles of Christianity
Okay.
in every aspect of your life.
Interesting.
He emphasizes forgiveness, freedom, reconciliation,
Big concept.
and most importantly, recognizing that Christ dwells within the believer's heart.
So it's not about earning salvation
Right, but living in a way that reflects Christ's presence.
within you.
Exactly, that internal transformation,
Reflect in your actions.
your interactions with others, how you move through the world.
Powerful concept.
It is.
But how do we translate that into everyday life?
Right, how do we reconcile this idea of surrender with wanting to control our own lives?
That's the question.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
It is, but that's where Chris's GPS analogy comes in.
Oh, the GPS analogy. Oh,
Yeah, he compares our life's journey to a road trip.
okay, I'm listening.
We set our destination, our goals.
Yeah.
But then, just like on a road trip, we get distracted, take detours, sometimes veer off course.
Happens all the time.
And the GPS keeps nudging us back.
Right, back on track.
Even jokes about repentance being like that GPS voice saying, make a U-turn now.
Ha ha, I like that.
But, it goes deeper than just a funny anecdote.
In what way?
Think about how reliant we are on GPS these days.
We are.
We trust it to guide us even when the route seems counterintuitive.
That's true.
Could that be a reflection of the trust we need to have in God's plan?
Even when things don't make sense to us.
Exactly.
That's a really interesting connection.
He's using a modern-day experience
Right.
to illustrate a timeless spiritual principle,
Making me rethink how I view surrender,
not as giving up control,
but as trusting a higher power.
a divine GPS, if you will.
I like that, a divine GPS.
But that can be a challenging concept.
Especially in a society that emphasizes self-reliance.
Independence, yeah.
It goes against everything we're taught.
It does, and Chris acknowledges that.
He does.
He acknowledges that surrendering control can be difficult,
Okay.
especially when fear and anxiety creep in.
And we've all been there.
He even shares this startling statistic.
What's that?
The word fear appears 365 times in the Bible,
365?
one for every day of the year.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's a reminder that we're not alone in our struggles.
Right.
That fear is a universal human experience.
Especially today. Right.
Oh, absolutely. The world we live in.
Information overload.
Constant pressure.
Uncertain.
It's no wonder fear and anxieties are so prevalent.
So what's the antidote?
Well, if we can reframe surrender, right?
Okay.
Not as weakness, but as trust in God's plan.
I like that.
It can be a source of strength and peace.
It's about shifting our perspective.
Recognizing that we don't have to carry the burden alone.
Exactly. We have help.
Chris points to Philippians 4:6-7,
Okay.
urging us to pray about everything
Her.
and to exchange our anxieties for God's peace.
It's like a conversation
Keeping us connected.
to that source of strength and wisdom.
Exactly.
But he doesn't stop there, does he?
No, he doesn't.
It's not just about internal peace.
Right.
It's also about how we interact with others.
It's about putting that peace into action.
Right, how we treat each other.
Chris challenges us to stop judging and criticizing others.
Stop judging.
He draws from James 4:11.
James 4:11 argues that when we judge others, we're essentially setting ourselves up as judges of God's law.
Wow.
It's a powerful call to love one another.
Love one another, just as Christ loved us.
And he breaks down the word love into this acronym.
Oh, yeah, I like that part.
It's those little things
That make it memorable.
that make it stick.
It is.
So what's the acronym?
Okay, it's listen,
Overlook.
value others' perspectives.
Got it.
And express gratitude and encouragement.
Wow, that's...
It's simple but profound.
It is. It really is.
It's a reminder that love isn't just a feeling, it's an action, a choice.
We make every day.
Every single day.
And choosing to see the best in others, to extend grace.
Especially to those who are difficult to love.
That's tough.
It is. It takes effort.
Letting go of that need to be right.
To control others' perceptions of us.
Embracing humility.
And grace.
Which ties back to surrender.
Beautifully, right.
Relinquishing control.
Not just in our own lives.
But in how we proceed and interact with others. It's not just about avoiding bad choices.
It's a fundamental shift in how we see the world.
How we see ourselves.
And how we see each other.
Recognizing our shared humanity.
Our imperfections.
And choosing to respond with love.
Rather than judgment.
Powerful stuff.
It is.
And it's just the beginning of our exploration.
We've got a lot more to unpack.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Chris Piorkowski's sermon.
That's a good one.
As we left off, we were talking about this idea of surrender.
Right, surrender.
And how it kind of clashes with wanting control over our lives.
It's a tricky balance, you know?
It is.
Especially when the world tells us to take charge, be the master of your destiny.
It does. It really does.
So how do we reconcile those two ideas?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is.
But Chris's own journey, it offers some clues.
Oh, okay.
Remember how we talked about achieving those, like, impressive milestones?
Yeah, performing for the Pope, right?
Yes, meeting David Copperfield.
Wow, those are big ones.
But he chose to focus on humility.
Instead of letting it go to his head.
Right, not letting those accomplishments inflate his ego.
That's a powerful example, you know?
Yes.
Like, he could have backed in those achievements.
He could have.
But he opted for something different.
It suggests that maybe true fulfillment isn't about external validation.
Maybe it's about something more?
Aligning ourselves with a purpose.
Purpose bigger than ourselves.
It challenges our idea of success.
It does, doesn't it?
Like, maybe it's not just about climbing that ladder, reaching the top.
It's about something deeper.
And that takes courage, you know.
It does, especially in a world that equates success with possessions and status.
Exactly. And Chris's journey, particularly after his hand injury, it highlights this.
Oh, right, that injury was a turning point.
It was, imagine having your passion, your livelihood taken away,
It's hard to fathom.
but instead of despair, he found a new way to express his creativity.
Yeah, he transitioned to composing film scores.
Amazing, right?
It's resilience in action.
It's like when one door closes, another one opens.
It really is.
He didn't let that setback define him.
He adapted.
Found a new path, a new avenue for his talents.
Speaks volumes about his character, I think.
It does it. He didn't let circumstances dictate his worth or purpose.
He surrendered to the change.
And found a new path that brought him fulfillment.
There's a lesson there for all of us.
Absolutely. Sometimes letting go of what we thought we wanted can open us up to new possibilities.
Possibilities we never even imagined.
Exactly. It's about trusting that even when things don't go according to plan.
There's a bigger picture at play.
But let's be real. Surrendering control is easier said than done.
It is.
How do we apply this in our everyday lives?
With deadlines, bills, relationships.
You can feel overwhelming.
It can, but surrender isn't just resignation.
Right.
It's an active choice.
A choice we make moment by moment.
Recognizing we don't have to micromanage everything.
It's about releasing anxieties.
And trusting that God is working.
Even when we can't see the full picture.
Exactly. It's a daily practice.
A conscious effort.
To let go of the need to control every outcome.
Like we're building a muscle.
The surrender muscle.
I like that. The more we exercise it, the stronger it becomes.
Exactly. Consistency and effort.
Some days will be easier than others.
Absolutely.
And we'll slip back into old habits.
But the key is to keep practicing.
Keep choosing surrender.
Even when it feels difficult.
And we don't have to do this alone.
Right. Chris talked about prayer.
Connecting with others.
Who can offer support and encouragement.
That community is so important.
Sharing our struggles.
Seeking guidance.
From those who've walked a similar path.
It's like a network of support.
People who understand the challenges and reward.
Of choosing surrender.
And that brings us back to another key aspect of his message.
What's that?
The importance of love.
Love, of course.
He shared that acronym for love.
Oh, right. The acronym. What was it again?
Listen, overlook faults, value others' perspective, and express gratitude and encouragement.
It's so simple, yet so profound.
It is. It is.
Love isn't just a feeling.
It's a choice, a way of being.
Choosing to see the best in others.
Even when they make it difficult.
Extending grace and compassion.
Not because they deserve it.
But because that's what Christ modeled for us.
It's putting that Christ mindset into action.
Moving beyond judgment and criticism.
Choosing to love.
In a way that reflects God's love for us.
Powerful concept.
How do we apply this in our relationships, though?
Especially when there's conflict or hurt.
That's the hard part.
It is, but it starts with recognizing that we're all imperfect.
We are.
We make mistakes.
We all have areas where we need to grow.
Instead of focusing on flaws.
What if we focus on strengths, on potential?
It's about shifting our perspective.
Seeing people through grace, not judgment.
But that's not easy.
Especially when we've been hurt.
It requires effort.
Choosing forgiveness.
Letting go of anger and resentment.
Recognizing that holding on to those negative emotions hurts us more.
Then it hurts the other person.
Releasing those burdens.
Choosing to move forward.
With love and compassion.
And that forgiveness, letting go of bitterness, is a form of surrender too.
Is it?
It is surrendering our need to be right, our desire for retribution.
Choosing healing and reconciliation.
It's powerful, you know?
It's a testament to the transformative power of a Christ mindset.
It's not about ignoring wrongdoings.
But responding with love and grace.
Even when it's tough.
And that's where true freedom lies.
Holding on to anger and resentment chains us to the past.
Forgiveness sets us free.
To move forward.
With peace and hope.
It does.
So how does this tie back to surrendering control?
When we're consumed by controlling others.
Dictating their behavior.
Making them conform to our expectations.
Right?
We're holding ourselves hostage to their actions.
We are.
We're giving them power over our emotions.
Like we're always on edge.
Waiting for them to mess up.
To disappoint us.
We're not truly free then.
Because our happiness depends on them.
Exactly. But when we surrender that need to control.
When we accept people for who they are.
Flaws and all.
Then we free ourselves from that burden.
We experience joy and peace regardless of their choices.
It's a radical act.
Of self-love and liberation.
Relinquishing the illusion of control.
Embracing the reality that we can only control ourselves.
Our own thoughts, feelings, actions.
I think that's at the heart of Chris's message.
It is. Surrendering our ego, our need to be right, our desire to control.
Choosing to trust God's plan.
Recognizing that we are not in charge.
And that's okay.
More than okay.
It's liberating.
Letting go of that burden of control.
Opens us up to a world of possibilities.
Allowing God to work in ways we couldn't imagine.
It's not about becoming passive.
Or giving up.
It's actively choosing to trust.
To have faith.
To surrender to something greater than ourselves. And in that surrender,
we find freedom, peace, joy.
It's what Chris's story shows us.
The way he navigated setbacks, redefined success, chose love and grace.
Inspiring, isn't it?
It is an example of what's possible when we surrender to God's plan.
Even in uncertainty and change.
We can find peace and purpose.
When we relinquish control and embrace the journey.
This has been fascinating, exploring surrender and its impact.
It has.
But there's one more aspect we need to unpack.
Oh, what's that?
It's something Chris alluded to towards the end of his sermon.
Okay.
A concept central to the Christian faith.
You talking about communion?
Yes, communion, he talked about it as a symbol.
As accepting Christ's power?
And surrendering our control.
Powerful image.
But what does it mean practically?
Right.
How can we apply it in our daily lives?
Especially if we don't regularly participate in communion.
That's a great question, and one we'll delve into in part 3.
We will.
Yes, we'll explore the deeper meaning of communion, its connection to surrender.
How it offers a pathway to experiencing God's grace and love.
In a tangible way.
I'm looking forward to that.
So join us next time.
As we continue unpacking Chris Piorkowski's message.
And discover how it can empower us to live with purpose, peace, and surrender. So we're back, wrapping up our deep dive on Chris Piorkowski's sermon.
A lot to think about.
There's this one point he made towards the end.
Okay.
It's about communion.
Right.
It's central to the Christian faith, but
I think it goes deeper than that.
yeah, it's like it speaks to something universal.
Exactly.
He talked about it as a symbol of accepting Christ's power.
And letting go of our own control.
Surrendering our control, yeah.
It's a powerful image, you know?
It is. It really is.
Even if you're not familiar with Christian traditions,
right.
The concept resonates.
It does. It's like this human desire for connection.
Belonging, something bigger than ourselves.
It feels almost primal, you know?
I know what you mean.
Sharing a meal, breaking bread together.
It's ancient.
Woven into human culture for centuries.
Think about the significance of it.
That shared meal.
Creates community, togetherness.
A time for stories, laughter, connection.
Exactly.
And in communion, it takes on even deeper meaning.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just physical nourishment.
It's spiritual.
Connecting with something large.
Recognizing our shared humanity.
Our dependence on something beyond ourselves.
And for Christians, it represents the ultimate surrender.
Okay.
Accepting Christ's sacrifice.
Acknowledging our imperfection.
Receiving his grace.
It's humbling.
Requires letting go of ego.
Embracing vulnerability.
It does.
It's funny you say vulnerability.
Yeah.
Because I always thought of surrender as weakness.
I know, right?
But you're saying it's about strength.
It is. It's having the courage to let go.
Of that need for control.
To open ourselves to something greater.
That reminds me of the hymn Chris mentioned.
Thy way, not mine, O Lord.
Yeah. Surrendering our will to God's will.
Trusting that his plan is for our good.
Even when we can't see it.
Takes a lot of faith.
It does. To relinquish control.
To embrace the unknown.
To trust that even in uncertainty, we're guided, loved.
It's a paradox, isn't it?
It is. The more we surrender,
the more we let go,
the more we find freedom and strength.
It's a central idea in many spiritual traditions.
True power comes from surrender, acceptance.
Not domination or control.
But how do we translate this to everyday life?
If we don't regularly participate in communion.
Right. What does it look like?
I think it starts with gratitude.
Gratitude. Okay.
Taking time each day to appreciate the blessing.
To acknowledge the good.
To focus on what we have.
Not what we lack.
Recognizing our interconnectedness, our dependence on others.
Our place in the larger web of life.
Shifting our perspective.
From entitlement to gratitude.
From scarcity to abundance.
And that leads to peace, contentment.
Allows us to see the world through love, appreciation.
Not fear and lack.
Exactly.
It's about recognizing that we're already whole.
Complete.
We don't need to search for fulfillment.
It's already within us.
It's powerful, that realization.
It is.
Frees us from that endless pursuit.
Of more, better, bigger.
Allows us to just be.
Appreciate the present moment.
Find joy in the simple things.
Surrendering to what is.
Accepting ourselves, our lives as they are.
Knowing that we are enough.
And in that surrender, we find freedom. Peace.
It's been amazing exploring Chris's message.
It has this idea of a Christ mindset.
Surrendering control, embracing love.
A roadmap for a more fulfilling life.
It's been an honor unpacking these ideas with you.
Connecting them back to your experiences.
Those aren't just ideas to think about.
They're principles to live by.
They are.
So, as we wrap up,
okay,
take what resonated with you.
And apply it.
Practice gratitude, choose forgiveness, surrender control.
Let Chris's message be that catalyst for change.
Embrace the Christ mindset.
Discover the freedom, peace, joy
that come from surrender.
To something greater than yourself.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time.